There is a moment when love stops being a desperate search and becomes a quiet recognition. You have felt it, perhaps without naming it. That shift when the ache of longing transforms into something else, something deeper. Not resignation, but a strange, luminous peace. The universe does not send love when you beg for it. It arrives when you have finally stopped abandoning yourself in the search for another. What if everything you believed about readiness was inverted? What if the very desperation that drove your seeking was the barrier itself? There is a paradox here that Carl Jung understood profoundly. We cannot attract what we have not first become. The readiness for true love does not emerge from want, but from wholeness. And the signs of that readiness are quiet, almost imperceptible, written in the subtle shifts of your inner landscape, rather than in grand external events. This is not about waiting passively. It is about recognizing the alchemical transformation happening within you, the invisible preparation that makes sacred union possible. The universe speaks in whispers, in synchronicities, in the sudden absence of old hungers. And when you are finally ready, truly ready, love does not burst through the door with fanfare. It enters like breath, natural and necessary, as if it had always been there, waiting for you to become someone who could hold it without crushing it. You have been seeking outside what can only be found within first. Every failed relationship, every disappointment, every night spent wondering why love eludes you has been pointing toward this singular truth. The universe has been preparing you, stripping away illusions, dissolving the false self that believed it needed another person to exist fully. Jung called this process individuation, the painful, essential journey toward becoming whole. And wholeness, not emptiness, is what calls love into being. Consider this carefully. When you look for a partner, what are you truly seeking? Are you searching for someone to validate your existence, to fill the void left by an absent parent, to prove you are worthy of affection? Or have you reached that rare space where you seek someone to share abundance with, not scarcity? The distinction is everything. One creates cycles of suffering. The other creates the possibility of genuine meeting. The first sign arrives so quietly you might miss it altogether. It comes in the moment you realize you no longer need another person's gaze to confirm your reality. There is a shift, subtle but seismic, when your sense of self no longer depends on being chosen, being seen, being loved by someone outside yourself. This is not arrogance. It is the end of a particular kind of desperation, the one that made you contort yourself into shapes that were never truly yours. Jung spoke of the unconscious projections we cast onto others, how we turn lovers into screens for our own unmet needs and unintegrated shadows. When you stop needing someone to complete you, you stop projecting your incompleteness onto them. You become available for something real. But how does this happen? Not through affirmations or forced self-love practices, though these may help. It happens through the slow, often painful work of self-confrontation. You meet your own darkness. You acknowledge the parts of yourself you have been taught to hide. The rage, the neediness, the shame, the fear of abandonment. Instead of seeking a partner who will magically dissolve these shadows, you turn toward them. You integrate them. This is the alchemical process Jung described, the transformation of lead into gold, the marriage of opposites within your own psyche. When you hold both your strength and your fragility without judgment, when you no longer need to be perfect to deserve love, something fundamental shifts in your energetic signature. The second sign manifests as a collapse of masks. For years, perhaps decades, you have worn personas designed to make you acceptable. The pleaser, the strong one, the caretaker, the perfect partner. These roles were never lies exactly, but they were not the whole truth either. They were survival strategies, ways of earning love you feared would not be given freely. Jung understood that the persona is necessary for functioning in society, but it becomes a prison when we mistake it for our true self. The moment of readiness arrives when you can no longer maintain these masks, when the exhaustion of performing becomes greater than the fear of being seen. This is terrifying. To be seen without disguise, To allow your imperfections to be visible feels like standing naked in a storm. Yet this vulnerability is not weakness. It is the portal through which genuine connection becomes possible. When you stop trying to impress and simply exist, when you would rather be alone in your truth than accompanied in a lie, your vibration changes entirely. You stop attracting people who respond to your mask and begin drawing toward you those who can meet your actual self. There is a question here worth sitting with. Would you rather be loved for who you pretend to be or known for who you truly are? Most people choose the former without realizing it, then wonder why their relationships feel empty. The second sign is active when you have made peace with the possibility of being rejected for your truth, because you have come to value authenticity more than approval. Around this time, often coinciding with the falling of masks, solitude transforms. What was once loneliness, that aching sense of abandonment, begins to feel different, not empty, but full, not a punishment, but a gift. Jung recognized the archetype of the hermit, the one who withdraws not from bitterness, but from necessity, to find the still point within. This is the third sign. Your time alone ceases to be something you are enduring until love arrives and becomes something sacred in itself. You are no longer waiting. You are becoming. There is a difference between isolation born of fear and solitude, chosen as a space for self-discovery. In this aloneness, you meet yourself without distraction. You hear your own voice beneath the noise of others' expectations. You discover what you actually desire, not what you have been conditioned to want. This is not about becoming comfortable with loneliness as a permanent state. It is about developing such a rich inner life that your need for a partner shifts from desperate to optional, from survival to enhancement. Jung spoke of the transcendent function, the ability to hold two opposing truths simultaneously and allow a third, higher synthesis to emerge. When you are alone yet whole, empty yet full, independent yet open to connection, you create the internal conditions for a mature relationship. The universe recognizes this readiness not through your words, but through your energetic state. You stop broadcasting lack and begin emanating sufficiency. And sufficiency, paradoxically, is magnetic. Notice what happens in your body when you consider being alone for the foreseeable future. Does panic arise? Does a sense of urgency grip you? Or is there a quiet acceptance, even a strange relief? The third sign is present when solitude feels like preparation rather than exile, when you trust that this time alone is gestating something essential within you. This gestational quality is crucial to understand. Just as a seed must rest in darkness before it can break through soil into light, you must spend time in the rich darkness of your own company before you can emerge into genuine partnership. The culture tells you this is wasted time, that you should be out there actively searching, optimizing your profile, attending events, putting yourself out there. But the universe operates on different principles than the marketplace. You cannot rush the ripening. You cannot force readiness through strategic action alone. What happens in solitude, when you stop running from it, is a kind of alchemy. The parts of you that were scattered begin to gather. The voice that was drowned out by others' opinions becomes audible. The desires that were shaped by expectation reveal themselves as foreign, and your true longings surface like gold settling to the bottom of a pan of water. This is not passive waiting, it is active becoming. Every moment spent in your own presence without distraction, without the numbing agents of entertainment or busyness, is a moment of cellular transformation. Jung recognized that the path to individuation often requires withdrawal from the collective, a necessary separation from the voices of family, society, and culture, so that you can hear your own. In the context of love, this means spending enough time alone that you know the difference between what you genuinely want in a partner and what you have been conditioned to want. Do you desire someone because they check boxes that were written by others, or because your soul recognizes in them a true companion for the journey? The fourth sign emerges in the patterns you finally break. For years, you have been drawn to the same type of person. Perhaps they were emotionally unavailable, replicating the distance of a parent who could not see you. Perhaps they were chaotic, echoing the instability of your childhood home. Jung understood that the unconscious has a compulsion to repeat, to recreate familiar wounds in the hope of finally healing them. But this strategy never works. We do not heal childhood abandonment by choosing partners who abandon us. We heal by becoming the stable, present parent to ourselves that we needed long ago. The moment of readiness crystallizes when you notice yourself no longer attracted to familiar dysfunction. The intense, tumultuous connection that once felt like love now feels like a warning. You recognize it for what it always was, not passion, but trauma repetition, not chemistry, but the magnetic pull of unresolved pain seeking its mirror. This recognition requires brutal honesty. It means admitting that many of your past relationships were not about love at all, but about unconsciously trying to force someone else to give you what you can only give yourself. Jung explored how we seek in partners the missing qualities of our own psyche, projecting our undeveloped masculine or feminine aspects onto another person. A woman may seek a man who embodies the strength she has not claimed in herself. A man may pursue a woman who carries the emotional depth he has been taught to suppress. These projections create intense attraction, but they are fundamentally about meeting disowned parts of ourselves, not about genuinely seeing another person. When you have integrated these split-off aspects, when you have developed your own inner masculine and feminine qualities, your attractions shift. You stop being drawn to people who represent what you lack and begin recognizing those who offer real partnership, growth, reciprocity. This is the alchemical transmutation Jung spoke of. The neurotic desire for intensity, for drama, for the emotional roller coaster that feels like proof of aliveness, transforms into a preference for peace, for steadiness, for relationships that support expansion rather than repeat contraction. You may feel this as a loss at first, a mourning of the addiction to turbulence. But beneath that grief lies relief, the profound exhale of finally being free from cycles that never served you. Have you noticed yourself walking away from situations that would have hooked you before? Have you felt bored by the games that once captivated you? This boredom is not cynicism, it is wisdom. It is the fourth sign, the evidence that your unconscious has been reprogrammed, that you are no longer available for the same old story. Then come the synchronicities, those moments when the universe seems to wink at you, confirming that something has shifted. Jung dedicated significant study to synchronicity, those meaningful coincidences that defy statistical probability. He understood them not as magic, but as evidence of a deeper order, a connection between inner and outer reality that becomes visible when we are aligned with our truth. The fifth sign manifests in these moments of cosmic coordination. You think of someone and they call. You have a realization about love, and that very day encounter a conversation that mirrors it. Doors open that had been locked for years. Opportunities arise without force or manipulation. This is not wishful thinking or confirmation bias, though skeptics will name it so. It is the natural result of energetic alignment. When your inner state matches your authentic desire, when you are no longer split between what you claim to want and what you unconsciously believe you deserve, the external world begins to reflect that coherence. The universe does not reward begging, it responds to resonance. For years, you may have been asking for love while simultaneously holding beliefs that you are unworthy of it, damaged beyond repair, destined to be alone. These contradictory energies cancel each other out, creating static rather than signal. But when you have done the inner work, when you have healed enough to believe in your own lovability, the signal clarifies. You stop trying to force outcomes and begin trusting timing. This trust is not passivity. It is the deep knowing that you are ready, that you have become someone capable of recognizing and sustaining real love, and that the external manifestation is simply a matter of synchronistic convergence. Pay attention to the coincidences. Notice what crosses your path without effort. The universe is speaking, not in booming declarations but in subtle arrangements. The fifth sign asks you to trust what cannot be controlled, to release manipulation, to allow the mystery of timing to unfold in its own way. And then, when you have stopped looking, when you have ceased forcing, when you have become whole enough to no longer need saving, love arrives. But it does not arrive the way you imagined. This is the sixth and final sign, the one that confirms all the others. True love, mature love, conscious love, does not explode into your life with cinematic drama. It enters quietly, like the turning of a season, like breath after holding, like coming home to a place you have never been. There is no thunder, no lightning, no dizzying rush that obliterates your sense of self. Instead, there is recognition, a deep, cellular knowing that this person, this connection, is real in a way nothing has been before. Not because they are perfect, but because you are finally able to see them clearly, without the distorting lens of projection, without the desperation that turns every stranger into a potential savior. Jung understood that true relationship requires two individuated beings, two people who have done the work of becoming whole, meeting not to complete each other but to co-create something neither could manifest alone. This love does not demand proof. It does not require constant reassurance or dramatic gestures. It exists in the quiet certainty of mutual choice, the daily decision to show up, to be present, to continue growing together. The intensity you once craved, that overwhelming passion that felt like the definition of love, reveals itself as the fever of incomplete selves trying to merge, to escape the pain of separation through fusion. But fusion is not union. Fusion is the loss of self. Union is the meeting of two selves, distinct yet connected, individual yet intertwined. Think about the relationships you have witnessed or experienced that burned brightest at the beginning, only to collapse into ashes. That initial intensity was not love, but hunger. Two voids attempting to fill each other. Two wounds seeking salve in another's flesh. It could never sustain because it was built on lack, not presence. When you are ready for true love, you recognize this pattern immediately. You feel the difference in your bones between chemistry, that is actually trauma recognition, and connection, that is rooted in genuine resonance. One feels like fire-consuming oxygen. The other feels like the sun, steady and life-giving, requiring nothing to burn. Jung's concept of the conjunctio, the sacred marriage of opposites, was never about two incomplete halves becoming whole through union. It was always about two whole beings creating a third reality, something greater than either could manifest alone. This third reality is not a child, though it may include children. It is a symbolic, spiritual entity, a shared field of meaning and growth that both partners contribute to and draw from. You are ready for this when you understand that relationship is not about possession or completion, but about co-creation and witness. There is a maturity here that cannot be rushed. It comes from having failed enough times to understand what does not work. It comes from having been alone long enough to know you can survive it. It comes from having faced your shadow so thoroughly that you are no longer terrified of seeing it reflected in another's eyes. When you can hold space for your partner's darkness without trying to fix it or flee from it, when you can receive their holding of yours without shame, then you have entered the realm of conscious partnership. When you meet someone from this place of readiness, there is a paradox. The relationship feels both new and ancient, exciting yet familiar, unknown yet deeply recognized. This is because you are not projecting unmet childhood needs onto them. You are seeing them as they actually are, and they are seeing you. There is space for both people to exist fully, to change, to disappoint sometimes, to be human. The relationship does not consume you. It enhances you. It does not complete you. It celebrates that you are already complete. Notice how this love asks nothing of you except presence. How it does not fix you or save you or transform you into someone else. It simply witnesses you, holds you, meets you. This is the love you have been preparing for through all the lonely nights, all the false starts, all the relationships that ended because they were never meant to last. Every heartbreak was an initiation, every disappointment a pruning, every moment of solitude a deepening. The universe was not withholding love. It was preparing you to receive it without destroying it or being destroyed by it. You are ready when love no longer terrifies you, when commitment does not feel like a loss of freedom but an expansion of possibility, when you can hold another person's complexity without needing them to be simple, when you can be held in yours without shame. You are ready when the thought of partnership brings not anxiety but curiosity, not fear but openness, not grasping but invitation. Jung taught that the goal of human development is the integration of opposites, the reconciliation of contradictions, the ability to hold tension without collapsing into one pole or the other. In the realm of love, this means being able to be both independent and connected, vulnerable and strong, individual and part of a couple. It means no longer seeing relationship as a threat to selfhood or solitude, as evidence of unworthiness. It means understanding that love is not the answer to loneliness, but the celebration of two people who have learned to be at home within themselves. The 6 signs are not a checklist. They are a spiral, a deepening, a series of deaths and rebirths that prepare you for sacred partnership. You may cycle through them many times, each iteration bringing you closer to the truth of your readiness. And when all 6 signs converge, when you have stopped seeking your other half and become whole, when your masks have fallen and you can be seen, when solitude is full rather than empty, when you break old patterns and recognize the ones that serve, when synchronicities confirm your alignment, and when you understand that love is a quiet certainty rather than a desperate explosion, then you will know. Not through thought, but through feeling. Not through hope, but through recognition. The universe has been speaking to you all along, through every rejection, every closed door, every night of tears. It has been saying, not yet, not because you are unworthy, but because you are not yet ready. And now, perhaps, you are beginning to see that readiness has nothing to do with perfection. It has everything to do with truth, with wholeness, with the courage to meet yourself fully so that you can meet another without losing yourself in the process. If these words have stirred something in you, if you recognize yourself in these signs, then trust what you are feeling. You are closer than you think. The love you seek is seeking you, but it can only find you when you have stopped running from yourself. Subscribe to this journey of understanding. Continue exploring the depths of consciousness and relationship through Jung's wisdom, and share in the comments which sign resonates most deeply with you right now. Your recognition is the first step toward allowing what is already on its way to finally arrive.